नमस्कार, सलाम, सत श्री अकाल, या अली मदद, गुड मॉर्निंग टू कैलगरी। आप सबका स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। आपसे मैं हर सैटरडे रूबरू होता हूं अपने इस प्रोग्राम में और आपकी मुलाकात करवाता हूं हमारे बहुत ही अमेजिंग गेस्ट से जो हमारे साथ जुड़ते हैं और अपनी बात कहते हैं। आपके साथ मिलकर आपके लिए वो हमेशा खड़े हैं, हमेशा रेडी हैं और आपके साथ हमेशा जुड़े हुए हैं। हमारी एक कोशिश है कि हम उनको आपके साथ जोड़ें, उनसे आपको रूबरू करवाएं और उनके बारे में आप जो जानना चाहते हैं वो खुद बोलें। तो आज हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही अमेजिंग पर्सन, हमारी अपनी लीला अहीर जी, जो कि मिनिस्टर ऑफ कल्चर, मल्टीकल्चरिज्म एंड स्टेटस ऑफ वुमेन का पोर्टफोलियो हैंडल करती हैं। उनको आपसे रूबरू कराने जा रहे हैं। आइए मिलकर उनका स्वागत करते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग ऑन द शो, मैम।
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored and humbled to be here with you and in front of this wonderful audience.
Leela ji, I will try to speak in two languages with you. Okay. Hindi and English.
Okay.
And however you feel comfortable, please, you can just answer me in that. Because a lot of times, if we don't speak the right way of the language, people feel bad. So it's better to speak something or in a way where we have a little bit of command or we know how to answer. Right.
And Paji, and I'll call you Paji
Thank
because
you so
you're
much.
my brother.
Thank you so much.
I will most likely respond in English to make sure that it's clear.
Sure.
I do understand some Hindi, and I'm working on it. I'm actually practicing because it's so important to me. But I'm so happy to be here with you.
To start with, where you, how you ended up in Canada? Like, were you born over here, or
I was.
you born in Canada?
I was, and yes, I was born in Edmonton actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And your family, they're from India?
So my dad emigrated from India in 1963.
Wow.
He's a chemical engineer from South India, so from Andhra.
Okay.
So he came like so many of us with, a few bucks in your pocket, and he was a really, really, really smart young man and came to do chemical engineering. So he had the choice of going out east into the United States or Alberta, and ended up coming here. And for so many of our families, they can understand this coming from India, and you step off the airplane to that minus 40. Freezing.
It's a big change.
It's such a huge change.
Yeah.
Even if you come from the north, northern India is cold and
But still not like this.
Not like this, and not that level of dry, cold on the prairie. It's a whole different feel, isn't it? And so my dad came in 1963, and as soon as he got off the airplane, there was this beautiful family that was there, the Stranges, Pansy and George Strange. They didn't have children of their own, and so they had adopted all of these young Southeast Asian boys that had come off the airplane to embrace them into the Canadian culture. So my dad was immediately embraced by this family who taught him about Canadian culture, took him to his first Christmas, grocery shopping, first boots, coat, all of those kinds of things you take for granted when you grow up here. And my dad joined a bridge club right away, and he also loved music. So he went and joined a choir. And he ultimately ended up meeting my mother there, who was a beautiful singer when she was younger. And she was in that choir as well. And my mom's Caucasian. She's Irish, English, Scottish, and Scandinavian.
Wow.
So I'm a Heinz 57. I'm a big mix, confused at times. And they're both really musical. And so anyways, that's how they met. They met in 1968, got married in 1969, and then I was born in 1970.
You said the month, the year also.
Yes.
On air.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So now I just turned 50 last month. It was my big 50. I just turned 50, so I'm.
You are the first woman I've seen who has said the way about her age so openly. It's amazing.
Do you know, honestly, Paji, I feel so blessed to be alive for this long. 50 years on Earth. You think about that, what we accomplished in that time.
Absolutely.
I feel in some ways that I'm still a child and that I need to live till I'm 120 to be able to accomplish all of the things that I want to do, because this world has so much to offer. There's so many you find this, right? We're in the middle of COVID, in this very serious time, in this crisis. And yet we are surrounded by kindness and love and compassion and great deeds and amazing people who sacrifice everything to make sure that the world stays healthy, whether that's our frontline workers, our teachers going back to school right now, the families that are working in retail, the food industry, you know, all of these people who kept us going at the beginning when nobody knew what to do, right?
I believe COVID has given us a lot of bad stuff, but on the other side, it has also taught us a lot of good stuff. In a way that humanity should never be forgotten. We should take care of each other.
Yes.
We should love each other. We should
Yes.
respect each other. And we can survive on home cooked food.
Thank goodness for that, yes.
We can survive sitting at home with spending time with our kids. Because like a lot of people I spoke to, and it was big time on Facebook and other social media, that people posting certain kind of blogs that I have to spend time with my family now, and my wife is fighting with me, my kids are doing this and that, but we are still in, like, you know, like in India, especially if you say the houses are not that big, you have a small apartment, for example, for your whole family, and then you are stuck inside for months. Now people were going crazy. But on the other hand, I just posted on the same blog that all your life, like if I know you, you've been crying that I don't get time to spend with my family, I'm working all the time, I'm on my tours, I don't get time for my kids, I just see them when I go to work in the morning, early morning, and then I come back late night and they are still sleeping. Now you've got time, so now spend it wisely, no?
It is. It's interesting because we can't talk about COVID without acknowledging the deaths globally.
Yes.
You know, we have to remember that so many of us have lost people, and the impact that that's had on our families. And so we acknowledge that, and we send our love and deep compassion to all people across the globe who have suffered through this and who have lost family members. But you're right, to every crisis, we have to look about what we've learned from it. The interesting thing that you mentioned actually is typical, right? We don't realize what we have until it's taken away from us.
Yes.
And then through that process, you start to appreciate the situation that you find yourself in. There's little gifts that are in there, but we're forced into that. And that's the hard part, because you don't feel like you have some control or some understanding over what's going on, that ability to be able to create space sometimes, which is necessary in any relationship, especially with a lot of family living together. And in our culture, this is who we are.
Exactly.
Our seniors are our gems. We want them with us. We want them to help raise our children. But when you're all smushed together for long periods of time, there's bound to be some friction there, right? And so what will be interesting is, as we come through this, is hearing the stories of how people figured that out. And what did we learn from that? There's a psychology behind how it is that we managed through this. My larger concern is what we saw is that we saw an uptick in the text chat and phone lines for sexual assault and domestic violence.
Oh, yes.
So and we don't know what's happening on the side of abuse of children, you know, because a lot of these children, when they're in school, the teachers and all of the workers there and the natural supports that are in their schools, they're able to find out, you know, what's going on in a family situation. And quite often there's a lot of prevention and work that goes into helping families, right, that are in crisis. Having kids out of school, not being able to interact socially with people, not being able to have places to, you know, let off some steam or whatever it is. You know, every family is different. That's going to be our major concern as a government. We're preparing on many sides, on the mental health side, making sure that those supports are there for families, because we're going to have a lot of work in partnering with. Did you know we have 26,400 nonprofits in this province? So we partner with these nonprofits to help in these communities, all different communities, minority communities, in small communities, farming communities, cities. You know, all of these wonderful people. So it will be quite a lesson, and I feel very privileged to be part of this, to help on our side of things, to see what we can do to help with families and communities as they put themselves back together. And I'd like to give a huge shout out to many of our communities in the Southeast Asian communities right here in this province that have like your own associations and your organizations, Baji, that you take care of your seniors. You've done food runs, curbside service, faith-based programming to help them to be able to pray, and all of these things. All of that isolation can be very difficult, especially for our seniors, right? So thank you to you, because we work in collaboration with you to help folks to the best of our ability, but we can't do it without you. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the things what you have said, I was not speaking to interrupt you, because the things you are saying, it's very important that people should know it. A lot of people, they just criticize that this is not happening, that is not happening, but there is a way to do it. There is a lot of things which are hidden behind the camera and the things which are happening.
Yes.
So we will talk about this a little bit more, but before we will take a short break, and we will be with you shortly. मिलते एक छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद.
Thank you.
वेलकम बैक. आप सबका स्वागत हमारे प्रोग्राम में एक बार फिर से. हम आज बैठे हैं हमारी अपनी लीला अहीर जी के साथ, जो कि मिनिस्टर हैं, मिनिस्टर कल्चर, मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म एंड स्टेटस ऑफ वुमेन की अल्बर्टा में. उनसे बातचीत करते हैं और जो उनके बारे में हम लोग जानना चाहते हैं कि वो कहाँ से आई और कैसे इस अमेजिंग पॉलिटिक्स में उन्होंने ज्वाइन किया. आइए उनसे दोबारा बातचीत का अपना ज़रिया और अपनी बातचीत जारी रखें. लीला जी, why politics?
That's a good question. I actually get asked this question a lot.
But my why I'm asking you this, because especially women, and this I have asked almost every politician who is a woman, that what made them join politics, what created just in them that I want to be a politician, because in our culture women are kept not equal to men. And secondly, what happens is that they are seen as just housewives and taking care of family and cook food, clean clothes, and clean the house and do some household work and just stay low, But here we have people like you, Mr. Rajan Sani, who are coming up, and especially in politics. So what made you, my first part is what made you to come into politics, and secondly, what kind of support you got from your family which made you do this?
It's such a great question, and we would need hours. There's so many stories, and hopefully I'll be able to come back with you and talk about this at length, because one of the things I love about you, Paji, and what you're trying to do here is how you elevate women. And really, it is the men in our lives that are going to change the environment and the culture around the elevation of what should be normal. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, is that men and women come with their own gifts and talents, and to assume and suggest that one should be superior over the other for any particular reason, I think goes against the entire premise of what humanity is all about. All of us are so blessed to have fathers, uncles, grandpas, moms, aunties, sisters, all of this beautiful thing that we talk about all the time about family. And to assume that one should be superior or stronger or controlling over the other removes an entire ability and capacity for the world to grow. Absolutely. And change.
Absolutely.
Every time we elevate somebody, doesn't matter gender.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It doesn't matter at all, actually. What matters is that we're tapping into the talents and gifts of that person. Every single time you do that, the ripple effects to the rest of the world are far, and they're felt deeply. When we hold people back, control, and try to push down those gifts and talents, no matter who you are, no matter what your background, what your sexuality, who you love, your gender, any of those things, any time that we push that down, that we assume that we're better than somebody else, we ultimately stop the ability for the world to become better. We stop the ability for a gift or a talent that we don't know could impact and change the world.
Right.
we don't realize that we have that much control over the ability of the world to evolve and to become what it's meant to be. Anytime one of us does that and suppose it and assumes anything like that without understanding that our job is to actually influence and inspire.
Exactly.
Right? We could be holding something phenomenal and amazing back. We have to let go of the ego part of it. We have to, I find for me anyways, and I'm always learning as well too. So this comes from a place of my own evolution, my own understanding, we all have unconscious bias. We all look at things a certain way. It's actually a matter of looking at yourself, and we're lucky being here in Canada. We have the ability and the opportunity to have these conversations, right? In places like our places of origin in India, we're dealing with thousands of years of practice of a mentality around something where you and I are actually responsible to help make those changes.
And sorry to interrupt you over here. When I came here, I thought that part where women are kept, they're not equal, or they are not given the equal same kind of status. I thought, it is only in Indian subcontinent. No, it's worldwide.
It's worldwide.
And I was shocked to see that it is here in Canada. Mm-hmm. And as you said, how many calls you get on domestic violence,
yes.
on women distress,
yes.
Regarding that. Why and how? Because again, that thing in men's mind is still there, that women are not equal.
Well, and it's actually, there's the gender piece. There's also the piece of between culture, right? The separation of culture, even within our own culture. If we look at our caste system, for example, in India, right? That's an issue, isn't it? But even though Canada doesn't have a caste system, there's still status issues, right? It transfers, you're right, it's a global issue. And every culture has its beautiful things, but it also has its things that holds us back from being everything that we can be. You asked me about why I got into politics. I'm actually a musician. That's my background. Wow. So I've taught music my entire life. I'm a performer. And so I was on stage since I was 2, so I don't know how to do anything else. I love being on stage. And my sons, who are 22 and 24, are also beautiful musicians. And I had a wonderful practice. I had 6 choirs and 68 students, very bustling, very good business that I'd put together over 24 years.
Wow.
And loved every moment of it, and especially the families and the children, because you become very close to each other. If you think about in your lifetime the things that have impacted you the most, it's what your children accomplish and when you get to see them express that, right? Or somebody in your life that is important. You see them doing something really amazing, and those are the things that really, I think, remain with you. So we had some political changes, as you know, in 2014. The Wild Rose Party, which was what I was originally part of, had crossed the floor to join with the Progressive Conservatives. Right. At that point in time, our former Premier Prentice, who has unfortunately passed away since then, he had called for an early election. And so I was teaching, and I've always been politically minded. I was a Wild Roser since about 2010 because I'm a fiscal conservative. And so we were working on the fellow who was running who was in our riding before. He had crossed the floor, so everybody was very angry, as you can imagine. And I'd worked on his campaign, as had many others. So we were looking to have somebody run in the Wild Rose position because he'd crossed over to the PCs. And I was teaching. I had my ladies' choir actually that night. I was done at about 9:45 at night, and I came down my stairs to go see my husband and my kids, and there were 7 men sitting in my kitchen. And I'm like, "Hi, guys!" I thought we were gonna have sandwiches or something. I didn't know what it was about. And they said to me, my husband actually said to me, he goes, "So we've been talking about who should run in the Wild Rose," and then another friend of ours, he piped up and he said, "Yeah, it's you." And I literally, honestly, Paji, I almost fainted. I've always been politically minded. I actually wanted to work as a translator. That was my original dream, aside from music, right? And I remember having to sit down on the stairs, and I just looked at them. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "We want you to run."
Wow.
And it had never crossed my mind, honestly, with all my heart.
But at that time, at that moment, did you think that, why I should be doing this? Because I'm already having a beautiful career and I love music, and you are so musical, like while speaking, the artist come out in you, when even you're speaking or laughing, it's all music, what I believe.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, the truth is that what stops women a lot of times is women. We stop ourselves. We think that we're not capable. And
absolutely.
And that was the first.
Absolutely.
That was my first barrier.
Just hit the nail. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I said to them, I said, why me? I was completely dumbfounded. They chased me for a month, Baji. I said no 4 times.
Wow.
So at the end of the month, I thought to myself, I can't sit here and complain and be frustrated about things. If I'm given an opportunity to go and try and fix it and help and be part of it, how can I sit here and complain? Right. If I'm given an opportunity? These guys have more faith in me than I have in myself. So I am horrible at technology. I went and made myself a little flyer on my computer with my name and my background, and I folded them all up. I got my nomination done, and I have to say, thank you to the Southeast Asian community in Chestermere and Wizaraki View at the time. Bahut thank you, because they became behind me. So you wanted to ask about one of the reasons I went into politics. It was our community that supported me with no ask. They didn't want anything from me. They put time and energy. They signed my nominations. My aunties and uncles from the Islamic community, the Punjabi community, the Sikh community, the Hindu community, all of our communities, all of them signed my nomination papers, and they didn't know me that well.
Wow, that's
so much love, right?
And I agree with you over there, and we will talk about this in our next program whenever you have time. That is how women, they are in this kind of sphere. First, I believe they are themselves to blame. Second, it starts from home, because what I believe, it starts right from the childhood, where your own parents will say, no, you're not going after 6 o'clock outside. It's not safe, it's not good. घर में रहो, अपना खाना पकाओ और ये करो, तुमने दूसरे घर चले जाना है. Since we get a girl in our house, our mentality changes, and that is totally different mentality for a boy. अरे नहीं, घर में क्यों बैठे हो, आप लड़की हो, आप बाहर जाइए, जाके अपना मस्ती करो, ये करो, घर में बैठे होगे तो आपको लड़की बोलेंगे.
Why are you home?
Why are you home?
Yeah, exactly.
So we start differentiating and putting this thing in the girl's mind right from the childhood. It's a big subject. I will love to speak to you about this. And second thing is, as you said, about complaining. I always believed right to vote is a big thing what we have, right?
Huge.
So if we don't vote, or if we don't vote for the right person, we should not be complaining. And as you said that I'm sitting here complaining, rather if I'm getting opportunity, let's go out,
let's go out and
do something.
Yeah.
So हम लोग बातचीत कर रहे हैं लीला अहीर जी से. आई होप आपको बहुत मजा आ रहा होगा. एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, और ब्रेक के बाद दोबारा आपके साथ जुड़ते हैं. आप देख रहे हैं कैलगरी फोकस ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल. एक बार फिर से स्वागत हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में. हम बातचीत कर रहे हैं लीला अहीर जी के साथ. लीला जी, हम बात कर रहे थे अभी कि कैसे आपने पॉलिटिक्स में कदम रखा. नाउ I just want your 1 minute, how you feel that your family supported you, and how you took that idea and formulated, and what was the main crux and what was the main motivation? One was that you wanted to do something because you said कि complain करना enough हो गया, अब कुछ करना चाहिए, do something. So how did your family support?
My husband is the most beautiful human on the face of the earth.
Wow.
He is my biggest supporter, and my sister-in-law, actually his youngest sister, Praveen. She and him worked on my campaign. And then of course I have many friends in the community, as you can imagine, whether it's within the Southeast Asian community or the other communities in Chestermere and Rocky View at the time. One of my dearest friends, his name is Peter. He's this gentleman that worked on my campaign and door knocked with me and motivated me all the time, but I had a lot of support. And I don't know what I would have done without my best friend, my husband, throughout all of this. It's not possible because he and my sons took over our home. And I wanted to address something that you had said earlier too about women in politics. We are told that we can't have it all, and we can. We are resilient, amazing, strong. We go through, we birth children. We are amazing, incredible human beings that are resilient, and with our families and the men in our lives supporting us. We are a partnership. It's not necessarily about words like equal and equity and all that. Those are important, and those are things we all need to strive for. But it's actually the things that are unique about us that make that strength. It's a combined partnership of incredible respect, kindness, love, compassion, and the things that we bring into each other's lives.
Absolutely.
You know, I can't imagine my life, not only with my husband, but his mother and his father, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, are two of my best friends also, and I love them so much. And they have, they helped with our children and supported us. And my mom and dad, who, fought really hard as a man of color and a white woman to get married in the 1970s, which gave me strength. I've never had a reason not to be strong. And if everybody, again, is given that opportunity to stand on their own two legs, to show what they have with a show of, it's just a show of belief in you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing what we can accomplish on a day-to-day basis. And I have a lot of young women working for me, with young women with their young families, with children, young children. Nobody works harder than a young mom with children. Let me tell you.
Absolutely. And we were just talking to over here that raising kids is not an easy job. It's a big responsibility.
And it's a privilege.
Privilege, yes,
Yes.
of course. और मैं अपने दर्शकों को ये भी बताऊं कि हमारी जो गेस्ट हैं आज, like she has a degree in political science, psychology, like and music. Like she is one of the people who are in politics who are so much educated, and they know what they are doing, and they know what they want to do for the people. ये बहुत important होता है कि जब हम बात करते हैं कि हमारे साथ हमारा जो नुमाइंदे हैं गवर्नमेंट में, अनलाइक मैं अपने अगेन बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम इंडिया, मैं इंडिया की बात करता हूँ कि आप जेल में बैठ के भी इलेक्शन जीत जाते हैं, आपके पास डिग्री तो छोड़िए, आपके ऊपर 100 केस चल रहे होते हैं रेप के, मर्डर के, लेकिन फिर भी आप जीत जाते हैं जेल में बैठ के उस इलेक्शन को. क्या हम अपने बच्चों का फ्यूचर ऐसे लोगों के हाथ में देना चाहेंगे? ये आपके ऊपर है, बिकॉज राइट टू वोट, एज आई वाज डिस्कसिंग विद यू, राइट टू वोट इज अ बिग प्रिविलेज. उसको आप सही इस्तेमाल करें, उसको आप सही लोगों के लिए इस्तेमाल करें. और लीला जी जैसे लोग अगर जो इतने पढ़े लिखे और सुलझे हुए और एक खुले दिमाग से हमारे साथ जुड़ते हैं, हमारी नुमाइंदगी करते हैं, ये एक बहुत बड़ी बात है. यू शुड थिंक अबाउट इट और अपने राइट ऑफ वोट को सही लोगों के लिए और सही जगह ज़रूर इस्तेमाल करें. अपने प्रोग्राम के ज़रिए यही मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ कि आप लोगों को जानिए, आप लोगों को पहचानिए कि वो कौन है, उनका बैकग्राउंड क्या है, उनकी थिंकिंग क्या है, उनकी सोच क्या है. क्योंकि वो ज़माना अब चला गया व्हेन यू यूज्ड टू थिंक कि ठीक है मेरे अंकल खड़े हो रहे हैं तो आपने 10 लोगों को बोल दिया अरे मेरे अंकल हैं आप उनको वोट कीजिए, अरे चाहे उनको पता है ABC बट स्टिल आप उनको वोट कीजिए. लेट्स कम आउट ऑफ दैट. इफ दैट अंकल इज केपेबल, इफ दैट अंकल डिजर्व इट, लेट्स वोट. इफ नो, then please don't vote just to please him, because आपकी वोट जाया जाएगी, आप एक सही आदमी को वोट नहीं कर सकेंगे और जो वो राइट ऑफ प्रिविलेज, जो राइट ऑफ वोट का प्रिविलेज है वो आपसे चला जाएगा. Leela ji, it was great that how your family supported you and you came to this level where you are heading such a big portfolio. Just 2 minutes on your portfolio, like what exactly you take care of.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
and we have 2 minutes. Yes,
2 minutes. So it's culture, multiculturalism, and status of women. The multiculturalism for me, just so you know, is probably one of my biggest privileges. The Premier Kenny, had multiculturalism at the federal level, and he took that ministry with him through all of his other ministries. Right. So this is a really big deal for him, that connectivity. I also take care of heritage, sport. I also speak French, so I have the Francophonie Secretariat, and then LGBTQ2S+.
Wow.
So there's a lot of bits and pieces that fall into the privilege that I have with the ministry. And oh my goodness, Baji, such a humbling experience. And to be able to work with all these different organizations, see how they work together. And my lens is on every piece of policy that comes out from the government.
And you have to be humble to talk to such people. You know, if you are yourself not humble, then I think you cannot coordinate.
If you're not humble, they're going to humble you. Yeah. You know our culture. My aunties and uncles are not going to let me be anything but humble. That's it. You know, they know who raised me. So
It's amazing. हम बात करते थे कि औरतें क्या कर सकती हैं. यहाँ देखिए हमारे साथ जो लेडी बैठी हैं वो इतना बड़ा पोर्टफोलियो संभाल रही हैं और इतने लोगों के साथ कोऑर्डिनेशन में काम कर रही हैं. एक बहुत बड़ी फ़ख्र की बात है हमारी कम्युनिटी के लिए, हमारे लोगों के लिए कि हम लोग ऐसे कल्चर्स के बावजूद यहाँ पर एक लेडी जो कि पढ़ी लिखी और आज एक इतनी बड़ी मिनिस्टर हैं, ये बहुत बड़ी बात है. आप प्लीज़ सोचें इस बारे में कि अगर हमें लड़कियों को दबा के ही रखना है तो क्या वो लीला हीर बन पाएंगी, क्या वो राजस्थानी बन पाएंगी? नहीं. कम आउट ऑफ दैट फोबिया, कम आउट ऑफ दैट थिंकिंग और लड़कियों को सपोर्ट करें, उनको आगे बढ़ाएं, पढ़ाएं लिखाएं और उनको इस काबिल बनाएं कि वो अपने पैरों पर खड़ी हो सकें. लीला हीर जी आज जो हमारे साथ हैं वो एक प्राइम एग्जाम्पल हैं इस सोच का, इस रूढ़ावादी सोच से बाहर निकलने का. तो प्लीज़ just think about it and see what she's doing, and tomorrow your daughter can be sitting over here and doing the same thing, serving the people and doing so much good for the humanity. क्योंकि आज के कोविड के टाइम पे जो लोग इवन हमारे नुमाइंदे हैं जिनको हमने चुना है वो लोग बाहर निकल रहे हैं. आज ही हमारे साथ यहाँ पर भी बैठी हैं अपना टाइम निकाल कर, because again they are working 7 days a week for whom? For us. We should be thankful and we should be again, हमें ये सोच से चलना चाहिए कि क्या वो ये टाइम अपने बच्चों के साथ भी बिता सकती थी, लेकिन वो टाइम निकाल कर हमारे साथ आई, हमारे से बातचीत कर रही हैं ताकि आप उनको जानें, उनकी सोच को समझें और उसके बाद अपना वोट दें. एंड करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम रॉन्ग, लीला जी, now it's time where we should think rationally. We should not be thinking that why should I vote for her because she's a woman, she will not be strong enough to fight the opposition or to say a few things, and again I will not be feel comfortable to talk to a woman and express my views, because again there is a big subject where we can talk for hours, because women, it's not the politics, it's not their life, but everything you take, even sports or films or entertainment, women are always kept at a very different level. I give you a prime example, Wimbledon, it's a world-known tournament in the world, but when it comes to the prize money, the men prize money is very high,
yes,
and women it's very different.
Yes.
Why? Because they're playing the same game, same spectators, same level, same trophy. Why this differentiation?
Yeah, and this conversation is probably the most important thing. A lot of people don't know that, or they've come to accept it.
They have accepted it.
Correct.
That's the main problem.
So we have to not accept that.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I just wanted to make one correction. I don't have my degree in psychology and political science, but I did take that. But I moved into music with my degree, just to make sure.
But you read psychology.
Yes. I've done years and years and years, but I just wanted to just make that correction. But I also wanted to say that it will be a collaboration of smart people that go into the world and start helping all of us to be better educated. It's not about, it's what we call akal, right? Street smarts. It's not just about education in the schools, because you work with the children in your association in India, right? You were talking to me about this beautiful work that you do in India to help children that are underprivileged, to help them be educated. That's one piece of it. But how we surround people as a community and support them. One grandfather saying to one granddaughter in our culture that you can do anything you want will change hundreds of girls' lives.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of girls' lives, because that one little girl is going to go to her friends and say the same thing, that, oh, my grandpa thinks I can do anything. My baba said I can do whatever I want and he's going to support me. From our elders to our children, You know, we depend on our elders to help raise our children. My children have been raised by an entire village of people, not just me. And they're beautiful. My sons are beautiful, wonderful young men. They are contributing members of society. And my younger son is autistic. So he's been through the whole gamut. That child has taught me more about resilience and strength than anybody. And you want to see a world that talks about having a difference of my son's abilities are so strong, and we advocate for him every day because we don't want him to be treated differently. Of course, there are strategies and things with a child with autism, but my son drives, he works, he's a contributing member to society because the world gave back to him.
Absolutely.
And we demanded that.
Absolutely.
Right? And you don't change the world by just changing one person. We have to change the mentality around us, Paji.
Exactly.
And so when we have the privilege of, my job as having sons was to raise good men.
That's
good men that
that's
respect women, that understand the place that we all have in this life, and don't look at them as anything other than amazing individuals that have their own capacities, and to respect that. That was my job, and my husband's job, actually. When we have our daughters, it's the same thing. It's about raising them with respect their bodies and their autonomy, that they are not to be used and abused. And more than that is that they feel the ability to go out into the world, and that when you're talking to your friends and I'm talking to my friends, we're changing the environment around them so that when they see our daughters come to them, they see these amazing human beings who have the competencies to do absolutely anything that they want to. But you think about it, it's been thousands of years one way. How fast can we change the dial? I think we can do a really good job.
Time will come, and I'm very sure that the people will change their thinking and their mentality.
We have to commit to it.
We have to commit to it.
Yes.
So, आज की बातचीत हम यहीं समाप्त करते हैं और आपसे विदा लेते हैं. लेकिन before we end, Leela ji, 2 words for all your listeners as you are here today.
Well, first of all, thank you. And I am truly humbled to be with you, Paji. Thank you for what you do for our communities, our Southeast Asian communities, especially during this isolation. We need connection. So thank you so much for doing that and allowing me to connect. I'd also like to wish everybody a very happy Diwali coming up. This has never been more necessary, the triumph of good over evil. We just came through Navaratri and Dasara, right, with beautiful opportunities to be able to reach out into communities and to be able to pray and sing and meditate and think about the things that are important. This year especially, because we can't gather the way we normally would, let's use it as a time to really reflect. We can make lots of sweets and put them in the freezer for next year to give them away to our families, but please take very good care of each other, and remember that fight of good over evil is an everyday thing from the minute that we wake up to the minute that we go to bed, and it's always good to have these reminders. And so happy Diwali and namaste.
Thank you so much. मैं आपसे विदा लूँगा एक लास्ट मैसेज के साथ. लोग कहते हैं बेटी बचाओ, लेकिन मैं कहता हूँ बेटा बचाओ, क्योंकि अगर आप अपने बेटे को सही तरह से पालेंगे पोसेंगे, सही दिमाग देंगे, सही सोच देंगे, और वो उस तरह से जो लड़की बाहर जा रही है उसकी रिस्पेक्ट करेगा, तो लड़की अपने आप सेफ हो जाएगी. तो बेटी तो बचाएगी, लेकिन सबसे पहले अपना बेटा बचाओ, उसको अच्छी तरह से पालो पोसो, अच्छी तरह से उसकी परवरिश करो, तो हमारी बेटियां अपने आप सेफ हो जाएंगी. इस मैसेज के साथ आपसे विदा लेता हूं. अगले शनिवार दोबारा मुलाकात होगी. थैंक यू.